So the Houston Astros visited the Dodgers last night for the first time since their scandalous World Series title in 2017. Max Scherzer is making his Dodger debut tonight. He starts for the Dodgers tonight. Obviously, the Astros beat the Dodgers last night 3-0, but the scene was fantastic. You had inflatable trash cans that were being hit all over the stands at Dodger Stadium. They were booing vociferously. It was beautiful to see because that's what was deserved, and you had all this pent up energy and anger and frustration that hadn't had an outlet in over a year and a half. This was the first time that the Astros had visited Dodger Stadium since that scandal and since they pilfered a title away from the Dodgers in 2017. So I've uttered and reinforced this sentiment before, and that is that universally what we're seeing across sports, across the sports landscape, is that the bold teams, the courageous, the audacious sports franchises that are willing to make bold moves are typically the teams that experience the most success and flourish the most and thrive the most. That's what we're seeing. Because we're seeing a flurry of moves during this MLB free agency, or not free agency, but during the trade deadline that I didn't really touch on. You obviously had the Giants stockpiling with Chris Bryant, the Mets signing Javier Baez, the Yankees signing Anthony Rizzo, ironically all from the Chicago Cubs. But the Dodgers are one of the few teams that are consistently and have been consistently in the mix for big names, but they only take calculated risks. They don't just sign the flashiest players. They don't just sign big-time names to make a splash. They had an opportunity to sign Bryce Harper. They didn't. They opted for a guy in Mookie Betts who's got a more reserved temperament, a little bit more soft-spoken, a little bit less of a persona. Tremendous talent, but they signed, who else did they sign? Jace Utley, David Freese, Chris Taylor. Really talented guys, but aren't going to be necessarily household names, or if they are, there isn't the unnecessary burden of, well, will they be a distraction to the team? Trevor Bauer, who I'll address in a moment, the reality is this was a Dodgers team that was coming off a World Series title. They felt like they needed to address starting pitching. And they signed an all-star in Trevor Bauer. So that's who they added at the time to their Dodgers squad. But the main reason why the Dodgers for so many years, especially recently since 2013, and it's really blossomed since 2016, have been such a powerhouse in baseball is because they haven't rested on their laurels or the talent that they've had in the past. They've never been complacent. They've continued to try and restock and retool and revamp and elevate and improve their roster even after titles. Again, they knocked on the door 2016, reached the NLCS, lost to the Cubs. 2017, as I mentioned, they reached the World Series. They should have beaten the Astros, had that one stolen away from them. 2018, they lost to the Red Sox in the World Series. And then last year, they finally broke through. And so now they go and trade for Max Scherzer, an all-star ace, one of the greatest pitchers in MLB history. And they also get to sweeten the deal by trading for an all-star shortstop in Trey Turner, who's arguably the fastest player in MLB as well. But the reason why this was such a significant move is threefold. One, as I mentioned, Max Scherzer is one of the best pitchers, not only this year, having a 2.76 ERA, opposing batting average of 1.82, one of the best in the MLB. So he's having one of the best seasons. This is a 7-time All-Star, a 3-time Cy Young winner, 4-time league winner, league wins leader, and a World Series champion. That's number one. Number two is, well, you've addressed the need to fill in the void that will inevitably be left by Trevor Bauer when they likely either cut him or move off of him amid the sexual assault allegations. So you fill that void of having another starting pitcher. And not only do you have a starting pitcher, you have a starting pitcher who's an absolute ace in Max Scherzer. And number 3 is some of the rivals for the Dodgers and the other elite teams in the MLB were also pursuing and targeting Scherzer. The Padres appeared close to signing Max Scherzer, and the Dodgers were able to not only prevent the Padres from signing him, but they also buffered their own starting pitching. So they improved their team and their starting pitching, and they also prevented him from going to their rival within their own division, within their own same division. And this is a Dodgers team, mind you, that already had the best ERA in baseball. They had the best bullpen and pitching staff in baseball. And now you go out and trade for this guy. And it just harkens back to the point that I was making earlier about how these teams, and especially the Dodgers, and the job that Andrew Friedman has done, being bold, taking calculated risks, and it's paid off. Think about this. The combination of Clayton Kershaw, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, David Price, Albert Pujols, and Max Scherzer, those guys have a combined 6 MVPs, 7 Cy Young awards. The Dodgers feature a starting lineup in whatever order you see fit of Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, Julio Urias, David Price, and then Tony Gonsolin. It is going to be absolutely a treacherous path to go through for opposing players come postseason. It is just unbelievable that they were able to land all these guys. I'm selfishly thrilled about it as a Dodgers fan. But again, it's not just the fact that they signed a big name. They signed big names that legitimately fill voids that they have. They're smart, calculated moves, and just wizardry by Andrew Friedman to pull this off. I cannot wait to see him start tonight for the Dodgers, especially against the Astros, a team that we vehemently hate. And it would have been such a more satisfying moment had the Dodgers won last night, but whatever, they didn't. They'll do it tonight instead. Okay,